Alright everyone, hello and welcome to another episode of my Football Manager 2017 save. I think it's episode 58, I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head, but it doesn't really matter. It's August 2020 and we're in the UEFA Super Cup against Man United. But just before we jump into the game, just to explain why we're obviously in the UEFA Super Cup, Man United won the Champions League last season, we won the Europa League last season, hence why we're basically in the UEFA Super Cup against them. We're actually going to be playing at the Telia Parken in Denmark. I think it's Copenhagen's stadium. Yeah, it is FC Copenhagen Stadium, so that's definitely going to be an interesting one. But before we jump straight into the game, I think it's about time we take a look at what's actually happened in the world in terms of transfers. So, you'll know by now that we've signed Scott Carson and Douglas based on the past few episodes. What you won't know is that we've also offloaded the odd player or two. Željko Ilić has joined Bate Barisor. We obviously signed him a few years ago for 54k from Sarajevo in Bosnia. Didn't develop as well as I thought he would, and again, as a club, we've improved significantly. So we've offloaded him and made a bit of profit on him. Another player who's also left us is James McLean, 31 years of age, not getting any younger, and towards the end of last season, he was kind of having a bit of a moan about playing time as well. So it is probably the right time just about to move him on. We bought him for 3.4 million, so to be able to sell him off for 2.5 million so many years down the line is not too bad, really. Decent servant for the club. Didn't score that many goals. Most of the time would come off the bench in the last season or so, but he'd still put in a decent performance and make an impact. So good servant to the club, but about time that he left as well. Other people that have left, as you can see, we've got a total of £46 million coming in, and as you probably guessed, it does mean that Lucas Moura has decided to bid us farewell. He was obviously our big signing last season from Paris Saint-Germain for £20 million. He then got injured for the vast majority of the season, which really is both a positive and negative thing. Positively, it means that we achieved what we did last season without Lucas Moura really being a key factor in that. He only got 7 appearances for us in the league, and continentally only 2. So he only really played 9 games in a Blackburn Rovers shirt. Negatively speaking, he got frustrated to do with our backroom staff, said that our backroom staff just aren't good enough, when as you can see, bar fitness, we are basically the best backroom staff in the Premier League. So if the best backroom staff in the Premier League, better than the likes of Chelsea, Man United, Man City and Liverpool, aren't good enough for Lucas Moura, I decided, fair enough, you can piss off then. We bought him for 20 million. We've sold him to Wolfsburg for 30 million. And it's funny because Wolfsburg aren't even in Europe. They won't be playing Europa League football. They won't even be playing Champions League football, obviously. So I've got no idea how on earth he personally thinks that this could be a good move for him. I don't know. In terms of money and whatnot, we basically broke even. Yes, there's a £10 million difference, but Lucas Moura was on 145k a week, which means we paid him just over £7.5 million last season to basically do nothing, and he also got 20% of the sell-on fee. So we basically managed to offload him and just about break even on him, which really isn't too bad, because I don't want a big-headed player, a player who's going to do nothing but sulk at the club and milk us for 145k a week just for the sake of being able to say, I've got Lucas Moura. Shame, because he's very versatile. He plays up front as well, which is something that could come in quite useful. But unfortunately, if he doesn't want to be at the club, then I don't want him at my club. So, who have we replaced Lucas Moura with? I'm not going to lie, it's been a real struggle to find the right players. It almost seems like Paris Saint-Germain own everyone. I don't know how it can be allowed for him to have Martial, Embolo, Griezmann, Kevin De Bruyne, and Diego Costa. And that's not even taking into account, you know, other players who can also play up front-ish or AMC, like Ousmane Dembele, Kante, who's a phenomenal player as well. Probably not the AMC-style player. They've got Çalhanoğlu, Di Maria, who's getting on a bit, but still pretty good for his age, you know. He is transfer listed, but he's not my cup of tea because his wages will be too high. But it's just been very difficult to really find someone of that same level of quality to replace Lucas Moura. first kind of players that pop into my mind are like your Dybalas and your Alvaro Moratas. But obviously, given that they're at your Juventuses and Man Uniteds or Icardi even at Arsenal, they're just not going to even... We're not going to get anywhere near them. So, in terms of replacement players, I decided, right, I'm going to stick to my guns, and instead of trying to spend all the money on one world-class player, we got where we did last season without Lucas Moura. We're not a one-man team. Football's a team game. So instead, I'm going to try and spread the money out across the squad and try and strengthen that way. So, £30 million could rise to £17.75 million. The replacement for Lucas Moura is going to be this guy. 16 acceleration, 14 pace, 15 dribbling, 15 first touch, 15 passing, 16 technique, 16 work rate, 17 vision. Creative attacking midfielder, can also play in the middle of the park and in the DLP position should we require him to, even though I hope we won't ever require him to play in the DLP position. Only 18 years old, and for 13 million quid, I think he's a bit of a steal, to be honest. Disappointed that he's right-only footed, but he has a nice trait in terms of coming deep to get the ball and playing 1-2s, which I think is important in terms of how we play in a strikerless way. He's 18 years old, and with the right tutoring and with the right game time, this guy won't be starting games, obviously. He won't get in the team ahead of Nyang and Piaka, but up against your weaker sides that have, you know, recently gotten promoted, this guy can definitely, I think, put a shift in, and on only 23.5k a week, he deserves a chance. And if you can get dribbling up to 16, your first, everything that's 14, 15, if you can boost them up to 16 by the time he's 22, 23, before you know it, we'll have an incredibly world-class player on our hands. So really, it's up to him to see if he can get the best out of himself, and it's also up to us to see whether or not we can get the best out of him. All of that to one side. I'm not quite sure where we stopped last time round in terms of pre-season friendlies, but we beat Leeds 3-1. We then beat Sevilla 3-1. Most of our pre-season games, as you can see, have all been away from home. We then beat Real Betis 3-0. We beat York City 3-0. And we were really, really, really unfortunate. Oh yeah, we got invited for some reason to PK's testimonial. Like, I've got no idea why Barcelona chose us. It would have made more sense to choose Man United because he played for Man United, but apparently not. We lost to Barcelona 2-1. Antonio Conte's Barcelona, of course, La Liga champions. Disappointed that we lost, but what baffles me even more is when this actually decides to load up. If we go to the match stats, we had 6 clear-cut chances to their 0. We had 14 shots on target to their 5, and we somehow, guys, lost 2-1 to Barcelona. So I've got no idea how on earth that happened. They've re-signed Cesc Fabregas on a free transfer, which I found quite surprising given his physicals. But it's the Spanish league, so I can also understand why, and he's got a lot of decent players surrounding him as well. And it was actually Bojan, who's apparently contracted to... What? Ah, so... Right, it makes sense now. So, oh, sorry, I'm stupid. I am an idiot. It was a testimonial match, so of course they've just invited old players back. I've only noticed that just now, so... Right, okay. That makes it even worse then, losing 2-1. I've got no idea how we lost 2-1, guys. As you can see, the stats say it all. But it's still pre-season. The lads know I weren't happy with it. And if we are going to show up, we're going to have to show up now. It's going to be a one-match episode. We're going to Denmark to face the European champions, to face Jose Mourinho's European champions, and we're missing some key players. Carlos Alenya is away on international duty. Andre Gray is out with a hip injury. He's basically not going to be around for 6 to 7 weeks, which means our new signing could very well feature. And Rajkovic is also out for 2 weeks, which means we'll have the almighty Scott Carson in goal against Man United. Do I expect to win? Not really, no, not with these injuries. And to be honest, I kind of just want to get this game out of the way and start bringing in more players, because it took a lot of time to offload Lucas Moura from the club. Because before we actually offloaded Lucas Moura from the club, we only had like 10 million quid to spend. And you can't do anything with 10 million pounds. So, anyways, enough talking. Let's get the ball rolling and see how we do in Denmark. Right, guys, here we go. Blackburn Rovers against Man United. Not looking forward to this one so early on in the season. We do have some injuries, but just imagine how much of a massive morale boost it would be if we can actually manage to beat Man United nice and early on in the season, because whether we like it or not, we are going to be competing for the Premier League up against them. They are going to be looking to defend their title, of course. So in terms of lineups, they've signed El Sayed Haysaj, Albanian 26-year-old from Napoli, £28 million. I mean, people have been saying I should sign a wing back. I was looking at him, but I'm sorry, we don't have the money to dish out 28 million quid and 110k a week on a bloody wing back. This is basically what we're competing against in terms of where we're at. You know, we do pretty well to compete how we've done over the past few seasons anyways. So, Morata up front, Juan Mata is going to be man-marked by Douglas, who gets his professional debut. Other than that, really, there's no surprise really in this Man United side. Only David De Gea won't be featuring because he's going to be out injured, but if I had to choose between Scott Carson and Romero in an important game like this, I think I'd choose Romero any day of the week. So we've got to be careful. We've got the man-marking enabled, of course. Try and keep Hazard and Shaqiri quiet. They're both really players that I would have loved to be able to sign to kind of replace Lucas Moura, but unfortunately we don't have the money to. Morata as well, there's got so many good players of Man United. So in terms of us, Bath and Callas start at the back with Douglas just in front of him. Augustinson comes back on the left. We've not seen him really play a competitive game in quite a while because he was injured going into the last games of the season, last season. Varella's going to be starting off at right mid. Rog and Demirbay reunite in the middle of the park. Nyang on the right, Nano down the middle with Piaka on the left because Andre Gray is, of course, injured. So, without further ado, let's get stuck in. Okie dokie then, so we are obviously in the nice TV view. We're going to stick with Sky Sports and the Premier League thing. I mean, I know it's not really the Premier League, is it? Jesus Christ, this is going fast. Oh! Well, that wasn't good. I know, obviously, you know, we're kind of playing the European Super Cup, not the Premier League, but we are both still kind of Premier League side, so we can live with it. But anyways, here we go as we mount an attack. Rog, can he spot any runs? He finds Nano, but it's just about cleared by Lucas Lima. And big direct ball forward towards a wide man in Eden Hazard. Typical Jose Mourinho that, but we do recycle possession. Varela on the overlap. Finds Nano, who passes the ball to the Croatian in Marco Rog, who gets the assist. And Bain Yang makes it 1-0 nice and early on in the Euro Super Cup, whatever the hell it's called. Really good ball from Rog. Good run from him. I think Romero maybe should have done better. It was kind of a poor finish from Yang, straight at the goalkeeper. But he blasted it so hard at goal that, you know, you got to give him credit where it's due to hit that first time as well. Question is, though, can we make it 2-0? And even if we are 2-0, we know what's happening against AC Milan. I probably wouldn't trust ourselves. And there we go. Marco Rog, 1 assist, 1 goal. First goal of the season, 29th minute. Jose Mourinho is being torn to shreds by the Blackburn boys. Great assist from Nano. That's one thing I really love about Nano in that shadow striker role. Obviously, he's really good at finishing, but both him and Andre, when it comes to assists, can also put in a bloody good shift as well, you know, in terms of trying to link up with the other two strikers to the right and left of him as well. So it's really important that those three are such a solid, fluid unit. And as well, if they can make room for the centre mids to bomb forward as well, very important, and that's how Marco Rog got his goal. So, they've been playing pretty well, so I'm going to calmly tell them to keep their performance levels up. Marco Rog's going to be frustrated, which is understandable. It always happens to the guy with the highest rating, but everyone else is fine. That's fine. Marco Rog ain't really going to last on the pitch too much longer anyways. Am I going to make any changes? Nothing too significant, I don't think, is really needed at the moment. We'll tell the lads to tighten up. As long as we can really just try and hold on to the ball here, I think we'll be fine. Yeah, like a pass like that was a bit gambly for me, but they're the kind of passes that I think we should really be looking to avoid at a time like this. So I might reduce our passing directness once we hit like the 60th minute. Piaka now is going to find Nyang, who shoots and makes it 3-0. We're making this look easy, ladies and gents. And on that note, just after we kick off, and by Nyang with his second goal of the game, what we'll do is we'll actually take Marco Rog off because he's a little bit knackered and he's not really a player we can afford injured going into the first game of the season against Stoke. Now, I think it's going to be kind of interesting that the first game of the season is going to be against Stoke because for those of you guys that remember, I think the first game of last season was against Stoke and it didn't exactly go well. We'll leave it at that. So, what changes are we going to make? Well, I'm tempted to just basically sub on Oriol Romeu or maybe even Nigel. We'll put Nigel on because Nigel is Bay. In fact, we can also take Demirbay off. Are we going to take him off? Nah, we'll just make one sub for now. Rog off for Nigel and see where that takes us. Question is now, are we going to make it 4? I've been talking about the amount of money United have been spending. I think it's embarrassing, to be honest, that they're losing to us. I really do. But the second I say that, they could launch a counter-attack. Really good legwork from Varela. You know, just to track back. And, oh, that's poor, that. That's poor, that. Who was that? Is that Pogba? Yeah, really poor aerially from Pogba. Demirbay shoots, and he's put that over the bar. He should have scored that. I'm kind of looking to tone down Tiote from now till the end of the season. His contract expires in the summer. He's 34, and even though he was really good for us in terms of winning the ball back last season at certain times when players were out, his physical attributes have really seriously deteriorated over the summer. So, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on his happiness. Fabio needs a bit of match fitness as well, so for that reason, I'll sub him on the left-hand side for Augustinson. But other than that, really good performance from the lads. We do have to be careful in terms of the counter-attack because them direct balls forward out wide are where most of United's chances have really come from so far. It's a goal from Schneiderlin, which to me means, okay, you know, Karam, Kyanite, whatever you want to call me, we've got to change things around. There's a good ball from Bernardeschi. Tried to sign him. Carson shouldn't really be getting beat from the near post there. We did try to sign Bernardeschi as Lucas Moura's replacement. But, yeah, as you can probably guess, that didn't really happen. So we're going to reduce our passing directness. Not even look for the overlap anymore. And just basically switch to a defensive mentality. And just basically look to be a little bit more disciplined. I think we'll be fine, to be honest. They've not really created anything all game, and that goal United have just scored, they've scored it by just pouring so many men forwards and Scott Carson making a mistake. Mata whips a ball in. It's going to get cleared by Danny Bath. I'm kind of like surprised that that wasn't somehow a penalty to Man United. And Rashford makes it 3-2. Nice, guys. Nice. You know, good. Yeah. We're gonna have to be better at who was that, Varela? We're gonna have to be better at holding on to leads, to be honest. Yeah, we can't have them do this to us throughout the season. It's kind of Milan all over again. I'm just wondering. I barely even made any changes there. Like, I don't know. I really don't know what it is with us and trying to hold on to leads. What can Romeu do here? Hopefully, he just shoots. Yeah, good stuff. And it does seem like we are going to record a win against Manchester United, and we are going to be the Euro Super Cup thingamajig champions. So well done, boys. Calmly tell the defence I wasn't too happy with what I saw from them, but the front three do deserve credit. I think if someone had offered me 3-2 at the start of the game, I definitely would have taken 3-2. It's just disappointing when you're 3-0 up to end up, you know, conceding 2 late goals like that. But again, we've just beat Man United, guys, and we didn't even have Andre Gray and Rajkovic in goal. So a really, really good result for us. And I guess it's yet another piece of silverware we can add to the ever-growing trophy cabinet at Ewood Park, which is pretty stacked as it is already. So 3.44 million quid. The fans are happy. Rog leaves the fans purring because apparently only cats are Blackburn Rovers fans. And yeah, so how much money have we got left in terms of transfer market? Because I'm going for a cheeky Nando's later, and all I'm basically going to be doing from now till the cheeky Nando's is just basically trying to strengthen our side and bring in more players. As you can see, we can probably play around the transfer budget and increase it a little bit more. Roughly speaking, we've got around £28 million. Eric Bailly is a player who is available, who is transfer listed, and United want around 13-15 million quid for him. Now, I look at him, And I'm still not sure he's that world-class centre-back that we need. And he's going to want more than £80,000 a week, which in comparison to our current centre-backs, like Thomas Callas, for example, who's only on 45. In fact, looking at Callas right now, I think Callas is a better overall rounded player, both physically, technically, and mentally, to Eric Bailly. You know what I mean? So I don't think Eric Bailly is a centre-back we need. I would like to bring in a centre-back, because if we can bring in a centre-back, it then means I can offload Lenihan and Franca, because if I do bring in a centre-back, it's going to be probably Danny Bath who'll drop down to the bench, and the new guy will come in and slot nicely alongside Callas. So that'll be a tough one. Nuno Sousa is definitely one for the future. Again, I want this guy to go out on loan and get some first team action, simply because I don't think I can give him the first team action he needs, because he's only a few attributes like 15 technique, 15 passing, 16 teamwork. We signed him only for 80k from Chavez a few seasons ago. And if this guy, he was playing League One level last season, but he's far too good for League One, I think. I think he's good enough to play in the Premier League. I really do. So if we can sub him out, loan him out to the right team, then he could end up coming back as a first-team player for us next season. I would keep him around, but with Tiote and Romeu also fighting for spots in this defensive midfield position, it would be a shame not to give Nuno Sousa the game time he really deserves. Nigel also is going to need a little bit of game time, but in terms of transfers, I'm not really sure. Like I said, I want to bring in a centre-back, and I think right-back is going to have to be a position we'll have to improve. Looking at both Varela and Fabio, Varela's a lot better defensively, and he's okay physically, could have better strength, I think. Whilst you look at Fabio, he's degrading due to his age, really. Fabio, a little bit better technically in terms of crossing and whatnot. But again, neither of them are really world class. So we're going to have to see what we can buy for £29-30 million. I'll have a sniff in the transfer market, and we might end up signing another attacking player as well. Yeah, you never know what happens. And I think deadline day is going to be an interesting one, because on deadline day, you always have players who are transfer listed pop up literally between the different hours, and sometimes you can find some absolute steals. That's how we found Lucas Moura last season. But we are the Europa Super Cup UEFA Thingamajig champions, and until next time, thanks for watching.